Three, six. 3, 2, 1.
Good evening, a very warm welcome to this velodrome here in Aigle in Switzerland for this world hour record attempt of Matthias Brändle, the rider from the Jam cycling team, the Austrian time trial champion, who is about to face the ultimate test of an athlete in cycling on the 1 hour record here on this track. So here we are with some sights and sounds of the velodrome. This is the international school here in the UCI headquarters, which is used every day by the riders who attend here from the different nations, many of them the emerging nations of the world of cycling. So a very busy velodrome since 6 o'clock. It has been very busy, and we're about to hear from Brian Cookson now about his thoughts on the hour records.
What's your feeling a few minutes before the start?
Well, I think it's going to be a wonderful evening. I think we're going to see a fantastic performance from Matthias. The atmosphere here is building, and people are really excited, and they know they're going to see a wonderful athletic performance.
We have Matthias and we had Jens a few weeks ago, so 2 attempts in less than 2 months. That's a great sign of renewal for the attempt.
Yeah, it's exactly what we hoped would happen when we modernised the rules concerning the hour record and allowed the use of a traditional, well, of a modern pursuit type bike. It's exactly what we wanted to happen. We've got a great older rider at the end of his career, Jens Vogt, who did the record, and now we have a young rider who's still very much at the beginning of his career, going to show what he can do tonight, and that's going to be a wonderful evening.
As the UCI president, you must be very proud and happy to host this event here tonight.
Yeah, it's a really great thing for us. I mean, my office overlooks the track here, and so you can't get better than that. It's good for us, it's good for the sponsor, it's good for the rider, and it's good for the sport, I think, to have such a good relationship.
Thank you very much.
Brian Cookson then on his reflections on this world hour record, which has seen a resurgence already in interest with the performance of Jens Vogt just in September, 18th September. He broke the hour record with 51.110, 205 laps of the Grenchen velodrome. Which is not too far away from here, in fact just a couple of hours away here in Switzerland. However, this attempt is going to be very, very different. One reason for that is that this track is only 200 meters in length compared to the 250 meters that Jens Vogt performed his hour record attempt on. So many questions being thrown around as to how Matthias Brändle's attempt will actually go on a smaller velodrome. And there we are, there is the arena in which he will perform this attempt at the world hour record. A magnificent arena which is used every single day, as I said, as the international school. We've seen many riders come down and spend their time here, away from many people wouldn't even have known that they were down here training, but they're pupilled by Frederick Magnan, a team of coaches here. The likes of Victoria Pendleton, Ross Edgar, other very good sprinters, Lissandra Guerra, other talents that we've seen emerge in the world of cycling have been here at this UCI school. And now for the first time we get to see it here on television as an arena in which we will see this world hour record attempt. There's a little bit of technical data for you on what this track is actually like. 200 meters in length. At its steepest, it's 46 degrees. One of the steeper tracks that we see in the world, normally around about 45 degrees in the steep bends at each end of the track. The maximum speed we've seen on here is 80 kilometers an hour. And it's built from Siberian pine, which most of the tracks that we now see are built from. This track was opened in the year 2000, and the first time we've seen it used here for an hour record attempt. This is the data that we are looking at then. Chris Boardman set the world hour record in 2000, 49.441. Andrei Sasenko beat it in 2005 with 49.7, and Jens Vogt record stands now at 51.110. 205 laps of the 250-meter track. Here we are then with some shots of Jens as he performed his hour record, which I was lucky enough to commentate on as well. It was a fantastic performance in his 43rd year. 43 years and 1 day was Jens Vogt when he raced through the 205 laps to set his hour record, and a fitting way to end his career.
Bonjour à tous. I am Matthias Brendle and ride for the Jam Cycling team. I come from Hohenems, it's in Austria.
3-6.
Now already my 5th year as a professional cyclist. I have already won 3 times the Austrian Championships in time trial, and today I want to beat the world hour record.
Matthias Brandle then making his way onto the track.
Matthias, how this idea came across your mind?
Yeah, the idea came across to my mind because the UCI changed the rule, and now I think it's possible to beat the record.
When did you really start the training, the preparation for this event?
I have it since a longer time in my mind. We started in September with tests in the wind tunnel in Manicours, and we made the first testings on the track just before the Tour of Lombardy.
And how do you feel? I mean, are you optimistic?
Yeah, of course I'm optimistic. If you say you don't have a good chance of beating it, you will not doing it, and so I think the chance is good that I can do it.
Be honest with us. I mean, is your heart beating a bit harder than usual?
Yeah, of course it's beating a lot more. It's such a big event, and all the people are coming for me, and there is such a big team working behind me to make this happen, and yeah, I'm really excited about it.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear then from Matthias Brendle, who will take this hour record attempt. He's standing there, he's very, very relaxed as he gets ready for this 1 hour on the track. Standing there, just conversing finally with the commissaires, the judges who are in the center of the track here. Well, he arrived in the track just about 3 o'clock this afternoon, 4 hours ago. He was very, very relaxed. Here we are then. He's up and he is ready for this hour record. He is on the start line. and he is going to now take his cue. He will start dead on 7 o'clock. He's just going to get a final drink before he gets underway. His final drink before the 1 hour starts. So counting down now then, 5 down to 1, and then he will be underway in this world hour record. A fantastic crowd here in Ergel for this attempt. The 24-year-old Austrian is now underway. To beat this record, he needs to do 256 laps of this track, and he will need to get steadily into this performance, and he has to hold this black, the gauge line as we call it, down the bottom of the track so that he can really get up to speed, and it's all about hugging that line as much as he possibly can. If you look at the data of Jens Vogt in his attempt, he completed in total 205 laps and a little bit. That made up to the 51.110. But if you actually look at the data of his attempt, Jens actually did an entire lap in total extra because of the wavering off the black line. It's absolutely critical to be right on that black line, and right now Matthias Brändle is wavering a little bit. Obviously early on the adrenaline is absolutely rushing. You really do need to just hold it back a little bit, get up to speed as quickly as you possibly can, and then get on top of the hour record schedule. So I talked to Matthias just before the attempt just a couple of hours ago, and he said he'd ridden the track. I didn't think he had much of a pedigree on riding at all on the track, and indeed he said that is absolutely the case. Before he decided to do the preparation for the hour record, he had ridden the track on 3 different occasions for 1 hour. That was it. He'd done absolutely no more track riding at all, so it's taken him a little bit of time to get used to riding around on the black line at the bottom of the track, and to be able to hug it as closely as he possibly can. And as you can see now, he's starting to get right onto that black line, and he is starting to look a little bit tidier than he did earlier on today. Just wavering as he comes out of turn 2 on the track right now. And he's covered 11 laps of the track so far. And right now he is going up in his average speed. He's up at 50.604 kilometers an hour. So I asked him earlier on, when did he decide to try and break the world hour record? He saw Jens was going to go for the hour record. He also looked at the performance of Jens. He kind of decided at the World Championships that he would like to try and break the world hour record if he possibly could. He was really disappointed with his 35th place in the World Championships in Ponferrada, but what he did is he knuckled down and he continued with his training as much as he possibly could, and then he made sure that he didn't waver from that training plan. He came back, he rode the Grenchen track in Switzerland, the one that Jens broke the world hour record on. And he made sure that he could ride on the Grenchen track. Then he came here to Ergel and he tried to ride the track here. And he decided that he felt more comfortable in riding on this 200-meter track as opposed to riding on the track there in Grenchen. So he felt that it was much, much more suited to his capabilities.
So in terms of training for this hour?
Well, the main point was that he has to hold his position steady for the hour. So that was like the main thing. And he hadn't the time to do that much even after the long season that he had.
Did you arrange some specific sessions for that?
We didn't too much on the track, so we want him to be fresh. Only a couple of sessions, and the main session was last week. We did a check with 3/4 of an hour. It worked very good.
Was this the turning point of the preparation?
Excuse me?
Was this a turning point of the preparation?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Was this the turning point of the preparation?
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome. So yeah, that was the final goal.
Thank you very much.
So giving you a little bit of insight, a member of Matthias's team there, about how the preparations have gone, and giving you that little insight that Matthias did a test just a week or so ago, and he did a 45-minute test. We're now heading up to the 5-kilometer point, which will give us a good indication as to how he is doing. Jens Vogt went through here in 6:00.954, and he's gone through in 5:49. He's gone through very, very fast indeed through the 5-kilometer point. Very, very impressive indeed. Right now he is ahead of the Jens Vogt schedule. He is ahead of Chris Boardman's schedule, ahead of Sosenko's schedule, and ahead of Eddie Merckx's schedule of 5:55.7. So let's hope he hasn't gone out too hard in the first 5 kilometers. 25 laps, 5 kilometers, 5:49 was the 5-kilometer intermediate time split that we saw from Matthias Brendler at the end of that opening sequence of this world hour record attempt. So if anyone doubted his ability to actually break this world hour record, right now he is way ahead of the schedule of any of the names that we talk about in terms of this world hour record. Jens Vogt 6:00.954, Eddie Merckx 5:55.7, Chris Boardman 6:04.016, Sosenko 6 minutes 00.42, and the time there for Matthias Brendler 5 minutes and 49 seconds was the time at the end of the 25 laps, and he's going further and further ahead. So Brendler is continuing with this effort around the track now and looking very, very strong. So just keep an eye on him as he goes around the black line. See how much he is wavering from the gauge line that we can see there around the bottom of the track. A lovely camera shot in the actual bankings, which we are getting a great indication of just how fast he is going around this track. He's whizzing right past me here on the 200-meter line, and he looks very, very strong indeed. Absolutely not wavering at all from that aero position. Quite a high aero position that he has, but he's still looking pretty strong. So we're going to hear now from our next interview here on the track.
Lars, what was the decision process for choosing a relatively short track?
We did a lot of testing in different tracks, and Matthias was directly very happy with the riding on this track here. Also, it is only 200 meters, and but he felt confident, and so we made the decision to go for Aigle.
Are these wide turns an advantage for him?
Well, the track is short, but the turns are wider than some on the longer tracks, and the advantage is for him that during the turns he has faster speed on the wheel, that is counting, and so he has more turns, so he has more advantage from that.
Thank you very much.
So we hear there from Lars Teutenberg. Now he's got an interesting story. He's the technical advisor to Scott. And Lars actually rode the World Championships at the time trial in Ponferrada. He's the older brother of Sven and Ina Teutenberg. So he finished 48th in the World Championships, and Matthias here finished in 35th place. Lars actually was the holder of the human-powered vehicle record in 1999 and 2002, and a great man to have there as a technical advisor to this record. So our next point that we're going to be looking at is the 50 laps point, and that will be 10 kilometers. And Brendler now is at 48 laps. He's coming up to the 49 lap point, and the time of Eddie Merckx was 11:520. So the next lap coming up, we'll get a good idea of just how he is doing now as he comes up to complete his 50 laps. And the 10 kilometer point is about to come up now. 11:32.027. He is absolutely flying around this track right now. 11:32.027. Let me run through the data for you of the 50 lap point, or the 10k point, of Jens Vogt, Eddie Merckx, Chris Boardman and Susenko. It was Jens Vogt's time was 12 minutes 01.336 compared to Matthias Brendler's time of 11:32.027. He is blitzing his way around here. He's 29 seconds faster at the 10 kilometer point. Eddie Merckx went through here in 11 minutes 5:20. Chris Boardman 12 minutes 3.889, and Susenko 12:0059. He's gone through here 11:32.027 and at 5:49.056 for the 5 kilometer. It is a very impressive ride so far from Matthias Brendler, the 24-year-old Austrian rider. His average speed right now, 52.050. As Graham O'Brien said of the hour record, it's the law of the jungle, the ultimate law of the jungle. It's just you, the black line, a track, and 1 hour. You either break this record, you take all the glory, or you have to deal with the failure. Right now, Matthias Brendler is showing just how good a time trialist he is, and he might be putting some fear into some riders who are thinking of trying to go for this hour record, because he's kind of been the unknown Austrian rider who really has started to ratchet up his career over the last couple of years. We look at his palmares. He has been a professional rider since 2009. He was with the Elk House team. He rode for Futon Servetto and Geox. Then he rode for Netap in 2012. He moved to Yam Cycling in 2013. He's won the Austrian Championship in 3 different occasions: 2009, 2012, 2013, and I guess most recently he won 2 stages of the Tour of Britain. One of those, interestingly, was with Alex Dowsett, and Alex Dowsett is one rider that a few people have mentioned as a possible rider who might go for the world hour record. Would it be interesting to see how 2 riders who were in a breakaway in the Tour of Britain when Thijs Brenly actually won the stage and Alex Dowsett took the yellow jersey, how those 2 riders could be going head-to-head if Thijs Brenly does break this hour record tonight. But so far, he is looking strong. His schedule, to give you an idea, was 13.8 second laps. He was looking to try and do 52 kilometers, and the idea here is that they feel that they're going to go the first half an hour, get him into the ride, see if he is well ahead of the schedule, and then they'll start to ratchet up the pace a little bit if he's feeling strong. He did the 45-minute test about 1 week ago, and he managed to average over 52 kilometers for the 45 minutes. And tonight he is doing exactly the same thing, and this crowd are getting to really enjoy seeing this Austrian rider. He takes his hands off the bars for one of the first occasions there, just wipes his nose a little bit. And we'll get an indication of whether he is going to suffer a little bit over the half an hour period. That's when we first saw Jens Vogt get himself out of the saddle. In previous rides, we've seen Chris Boardman get out of the saddle for an entire lap to try and just ease the back muscles, ease the pain that he is going through. Right now, he looks pretty smooth, doesn't he? Well, there's lots of fans in this arena tonight. He has got a massive number of people who've come along here. Many are wearing the Yam Cycling jerseys. They're not too far along the road from here, and because of that, there are many fans of Yam Cycling and of this young Austrian rider who is trying to break this world hour record. So we're going to hear now from someone who's along here, who's decided to come and see the attempt for themselves and cheer on Mathias as he goes for the records.
Andreas, how did you come here from Austria?
We arrived here with a bus. We are like 50 people, a fan club, a really big fan club from Mathias. We're his family, his friends. We arrived here with the bus. We're traveling like 4 hours, I think.
Are you always following your cousin?
I would say not always, because you see, sometimes his races are really far away. But if it's so near like this, we want to come. It's really a pleasure for us to come here.
How do you find the event so far?
Until now, I think it's really great. Mathias is making a super race. He is like two rounds more than Vogt, and we hope that he will go on, but we like the event very much. Thank you.
Are you expecting him to beat the record?
Of course, of course.
Thank you very much.
So we hear there from Mathias's cousin, who is here with a lot of people in this Egel in the arena for tonight's world hour record. He's just gone through the 15-kilometer split in 17 minutes, 16.636. And his average speed is still 52.114, which is pretty impressive. Now, of course, in terms of putting everything together for an hour record attempt, there's a lot of work that has to be done behind the scenes. And tonight he's riding a Scott Plasma bike. He's riding a 5513 gear, but it's probably better that we hear from his mechanic about how the bike is set up for this world hour record attempt.
I guess you had some challenges for the bike, for the setup of the bike, right?
Yeah, we had some challenge because the bike was principally made to go on the road. It's the base is a time trial bike for the road, so we had to adapt it with the rules of the track. So change some little things on the bike to make it really trackable, and so that we can ride it on the track with the regulation we have now on the track.
We understand that you had to bring some improvements to the wheels. Is this correct?
Yeah, this is correct. We had to better a bit the bearings. We worked on the bearings. We changed some bearings for ceramic bearings, and we reach a really good level on that, because we try to make the wheel spin at our service course in Nyon. And we stop at one time because it was spinning for so long time that we say, okay, it's good enough.
Why did you set up the bike computer behind the saddle?
We set it up behind the saddle because firstly we need to have the information of the rider, so the computer is recording all the information. So we need it for information after the race for the riders, for the coach and everything. But the riders cannot see it during the race. He cannot have any data coming from this computer available directly to him. So that's why we mounted it on the back, so he clearly cannot see it.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear then from Jonathan Fazan, who is the Scott mechanic who has prepared the bike. We're 9 laps from the next point, the 20-kilometre point. A very warm welcome to Brian Cookson, the president of the Union Cycliste Internationale, whose office overlooks this track. You must have the nicest office in Switzerland, if not in cycling.
Oh, that's absolutely right, Anthony. It's a brilliant place to be here, and this is the home of world cycling, and so it's absolutely fitting that we've got the world record attempt here in front of us tonight.
Well, we talked a few weeks ago about Jens Voch's attempt. We sat next to each other as we saw Jens do 51.110, and we talked about the riders who might potentially come and break this record, the likes of Wiggins and Tony Martin and Cancellara. No one mentioned Matthias Brendler, but he's been absolutely captivated by this rule change and the chance to break the record. What are your thoughts on him going for this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was not a name that would have been at the top of anybody's list of potential contenders for this record, but I have to say it's exactly what we wanted to see. We had a guy, Jens Vogt, at the end of his career, putting down a marker, a great way to end his career, and now we've got a young guy who's pretty much still in the beginning part of his career, going to show what he can do, and that's absolutely just what we wanted to see.
Yeah, he's 24 years of age, and he said he's sat on YouTube and he's watched Boardman, he's watched Merckx, he's watched Rominger going for the record, and it's just caught his imagination. The atmosphere in here tonight, I don't know whether you ever get this many fans in this Egel Velodrome.
No, I've never seen as many people here as this. The place is full, and we've thrown the doors open this evening because we wanted to celebrate this wonderful occasion. It's absolutely great to see, and you know, it's great to see a young guy like this. 24 is still very much the first part of a career for a pro bike rider, and I think we're going to see something spectacular from him tonight.
Well, he's just coming up to the 20-kilometre point, and that is a very, very impressive performance. He's gone through 23.01 for the 20k, and his average heart rate right now is 180 beats a minute. So this is the critical point, isn't it, where Boardman and all the other riders say that you get to this point now to nearly half an hour and then suddenly it can hit you. So I hope that doesn't happen to him.
I'm sure he's managing his effort pretty well here. He will know exactly what he's capable of. He's been doing some modelling and attempts over shorter distances, so he knows exactly what pace he can maintain, and I'm sure, provided he doesn't get too carried away, that he'll be able to keep this kind of pace to the finish. I think we're going to see a great new record.
One other question then before you go and enjoy the atmosphere here and enjoy the hour record. Are you hoping that we get this consistent riders trying to break this record over the next 12 months? I mean, Wiggins has said he's going to try and break the record in June, as we see his cadence 99 revs a minute.
Yeah, that's not a bad amount of revs, 99 revs a minute and an average heart rate of 180. That's a pretty wonderful performance. But yeah, to answer your question, we do know that Wiggins is talking about a serious attempt next June. That gives 7 months still for other people to have a go, and I think we are going to see a succession of people trying to put the notch higher, ever higher up the tree, as it were.
Well, Brian, lovely to see you here. And wonderful to have a record attempt here in the World Cycling Centre.
Absolutely, yeah, we're really delighted. It's a great atmosphere, and it's a great place, and as I said, it's the home of world cycling, so it's absolutely fitting and appropriate.
Great.
Thank you,
enjoy it, Brian. May will speak to you later. So Brian Cookson enjoying the atmosphere here as we see the first attempt in the World Cycling Centre. And he is right, it's fitting to get the chance to see the facilities here in Aigle in Switzerland. The hour record is the ultimate test, and Matthias Brändli right now is producing a fantastic performance. He has completed the laps so far, 23 minutes 1.102 for the 20 kilometers, and that is faster by 28 seconds than Jens Voigt's 20 kilometer time. So the splits are going well for him. He is looking pretty good out here on the track. He's not wavering too much. We want to see how he gets to this half an hour point and see whether those legs start to really bite, whether the muscles on his back start to hurt, whether he has to try and make some adjustments, and whether he then goes into a dark place, which is what we don't want to happen, because you can really start to hurt if you've gone out too hard on this hour record. And as Boardman and Merckx and everyone else have said, it absolutely comes and bites you at some point. So he's keeping the tempo nice and high, 99 revs a minute, heart rate 180 beats a minute. In the centre of the track are all his technical team. I'm just kind of watching them to see whether there's any concern on any faces about anything that's happening. Right now you'll see, if you look closely, the mechanic talked about it, the power meter is mounted on the back of the saddle. Now, in terms of an hour record, the rider is not allowed anything other than one person on the track. They're not allowed a radio. They are not allowed to see their power data. It is man against a black line on the track and 1 hour and the atmospheric conditions within the track. And the person on the track is allowed to show them some signals. They're allowed to show them whether up on schedule, down on schedule. They're allowed to give them little bits of data, but no more. Even the scoreboard that's in the track is only allowed to show the number of laps, the distance covered, and how many, what his time is. So right now we know that he's coming up to the 28 minute mark. He's nearly at the halfway point, and we'll then be able to see his average speed, as you can see there on the screen right now. 52.129 kilometers an hour is his average speed at this point in this hour record attempt. And I must admit, I'm seeing a rider who is looking strong. The cadence is good, but the mouth for the first time is starting to gape open a little bit, which will mean that the effort is starting to bite. And as he comes past me now, the mouth is very, very wide open. He'll be sucking in the oxygen. And what he's got to really do now is focus extremely hard on just keeping that body in good condition. Keeping the cadence high, staying on the black line, focusing as much as he possibly can on just keeping nice and relaxed, keeping the body as efficient as possible. One of the things that's going to be very, very hard on this track indeed in the second half an hour is that it's a 200-meter track, and we've talked a little bit about that. But if you do your calculations and you work out in terms of how hard it is on the body as he comes up to the 25 kilometer point now in 28 minutes 46.466 for the 25 kilometer point. What is going to be very, very hard in the second half an hour is if you look at a track in terms of the 250 meters track, Jens Vogt had to do 205 laps in total, which if you start to work that out is 820 corners that Jens had to go round. As we're just going to come up now to the half an hour point and we will see what distance he has covered in the 30 minutes. He's almost going to come up and do 130 laps of the track. There we are, 26,000 meters in just under half an hour. He is on for 52 kilometers. He is on for breaking this world hour record. He is on the schedule pretty much identical to what he told me at 3 o'clock this afternoon he was going to do. He said it was going to be somewhere, he hoped, over 52 kilometers. But he said if I beat it by 100 meters in the end, all that matters to me is that I have beaten the world hour record and I get my name up there on the list. But his aim was to do 52 kilometers. And his coach and his head coach, Marcello Albertini, the YAM cycling head coach, said we're going to ride to the 52 kilometer point, to the half-hour schedule, and then we're going to see whether he's got the ability to start to ramp it up a little bit. So it's going to be telling as to whether he now starts to pick up the pace a little bit more and we see him actually increase his average speed. So thank you to all of you, wherever you are watching this world hour record attempt. If you'd like to join me on Twitter, @AntMcCrossan is where you can join me on Twitter. If there's anything you would like to add to tonight's world hour record attempt by Matthias Brändli. And I know a few of you are already watching and sending us some sending me some tweets, so thank you very much. I know the horn in the background. Yep, there's nothing I can do about it. It's pretty loud. Right, so the next person we're going to hear from during this attempt is Pascal Ducrot, who's the Vice President of Scott, who's going to give us a little bit of information as to the involvement of Scott in this world hour record attempt here in this Aigle track here in Switzerland. So let's hear from Pascal Ducrot here in Aigle now.
Pascal, how was Scott able to react so fast and be ready with a track bike after Jens' avoid attempt?
Well, we have been working on a track version of the new Plasma 5 for quite some time, and already in June we started with the homologation process without knowing actually if ever one of our athletes will go for the hour attempt. So this gave us some precious time, and when Matthias approached us, we could, thanks to this, react quite fast.
This bike was launched as a triathlon bike and won in the World Cup in Kona. How's that possible?
Well, that's a good point. Actually, Plasma 5, that's not a triathlon bike, not a road bike, actually it's a platform. And when we have started the development end of 2011, we have been working with athletes from our road team, but also triathletes like Sebastian Kienle, the current world champion. And we went with them into the wind tunnel in UK for several times at Mercedes Formula One. And we have been testing several configurations, both for triathlon and for road. And thanks to this knowledge, we could develop this platform which is suitable for triathlon, but also for UCI disciplines such as road and track.
Thank you very much.
So Pascal Ducrot, we've heard from the involvement there of Scott in this world hour record attempt, as we are heading now towards another critical point, which will be the 150 laps of the track. And that's the point at which we will see the 30 kilometer point. Jens Vogt went through there 35:32.761 was his actual time for the 30 kilometers, and Matthias Brendler is now at 148 laps, so we're just 2 laps away now from him hitting the next point on the schedule, and he's still looking very, very good. One more lap to go to the 30 kilometer point. 35:32.761 was the time of Jens. Let's see what Matthias now is going to do as he hits the line in 34:31.782. So he is well ahead of Jens Vogt at this point. In fact, he is 1 minute and 1 second ahead of Jens Vogt at the 30 kilometer point. This is a very, very impressive performance from this young Austrian rider, who is still looking very, very smooth. His average speed going up again to over 52 kilometers an hour. And there's no sign yet of him slowing down at all. In fact, he's still looking very, very still indeed. So 34:31.782 is the time for 30 kilometers. So what sort of distance is he going to produce in this world hour record? He is still looking really strong. Remember, you can join the discussion on Twitter. Hashtag Hour Record is where many of you are. And thanks very much for all of you for your tweets. And I'm sorry about the horn in the background. Because the horn in the background has been picked up in all the ambient sound. But we are working on it. Someone will go over eventually, I'm sure, and confiscate the horn. But right now we haven't been able to do it. So bear with me, everyone out there. We will do something about it. Right, here we go. As we look here at the average speed, going back up a little bit more to 52.129 is his performance so far. He is 1 minute and 3 seconds ahead of the schedule of Jens Vogt at this point. And just keep a good eye on him. Keep the shoulders, have a look at the shoulders, have a look at his arm position. See whether he gets out of the saddle at all, because right now he is picking the pace up all the time. He doesn't look at all like he's under any pressure. The only sign of it is the mouth wide open, and him going right forward in the saddle, pulling himself further and further forward, and now and then just has to shove himself back a little bit. You can see that little data box in the center, on the center of the back of the saddle. And in a moment we're going to hear from Marcello Albacini, who's the head coach of YAM Cycling. I sat down with him before the start, and he's going to give us a little bit more indication of how this attempt has come about. One of the things that Matthias told me earlier on was that previously in his career, his first coach in cycling was a coach that he shared with a rider called Sten Oakley, who was a rider who tried and failed a couple of times to beat the hour record. So tonight he's got his thoughts in his mind of his first coach, who was one of the motivators way back in his career, who tonight now he's thinking about in going to try and set the standard for all the other riders to try and beat in the future. I was actually pretty amazed by how relaxed he was this afternoon. He'd been away, he'd had a sleep, he'd had some food pretty early on. I remember I sat down with, luckily enough, with Jens as he went for the world hour record. Jens had his last supper at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Matthias had eaten very early on in the day, and he said all he was going to have in the final 3 hours was a banana and a little bit of drink, and that was it. That was all he was going to have. Preparation absolutely right as far as he was concerned. His warm-up was 10 minutes on the turbo trainer, 10 minutes behind the scooter on the track to bring his legs up to the speed that he needed to produce. and then a little bit more time just sitting quietly, a little bit more time on the rollers, on the turbo trainer, and then he would get up on the track and get ready. And he is very, very relaxed, very chilled out. He feels very, very confident, and he's going further and further ahead. So let's get ready then to hear from Marcello Albacini from YAM Cycling. They're based in Nyon, which is just down the road. And we'll find out all about the key components of preparing a rider for this world hour record attempt. Here he is.
Marcello, what are the key points to have a road rider like Matthias prepared for a track event like the hour record?
Yeah, the biggest issue with Matthias is that he can stay with the schedule that we did give him. So especially that he don't overpace the first 30 minutes. But still now he's exactly in the pace that he needs to be. So we give him the first 30 minutes time, and then the next 20 minutes another time, and the last 10 minutes he just can go with his feeling.
What was the use of the motor pacing before the warm-up?
Yeah, you need the motor pacing for a warm-up, that he can go in race speed but not on race power. So he's turning his legs how we do during the race, but not at the same power.
Can you tell us about the pacing strategy?
So we was calculating that he need the first 30 minutes a time of 30 seconds, 0.8, and then he goes for the next 20 to 13.7, and the last minute, how I said, with his feeling. But if he can stay the whole time on 30.8, he should beat the record.
So far, is he following in line with the strategy?
Yes, at the moment he's really perfect, so it means we think we are on a good way.
Thank you very much.
So great to hear there from Marcello Albacini, who's been involved in all the preparation for this world hour record attempt of Matthias Brendle, and it is a fantastic attempt. He's gone through the 35-kilometre point in 40 minutes 19.576. His average speed at that point 52.074. The next big indicator for us will be in 20 laps time, and that will give us an idea of how he compares to all the previous record holders. The point there was Jens Vogt went through in 47 minutes 16.668 for the 40 kilometres. Right now, Matthias Brendle is heading towards beating this 52-kilometre point. Just looking at him now, though, there's a little bit of rock and roll going on. And if you look at his head, just keep a close eye on that. Thanks for your messages on Twitter. Had an interesting question from Matthew Mark, who sent me that. So the track's 50 metres shorter, but how does the 200-metre track affect Matthias in terms of the forces? Well, I was actually talking to Michael Hutchinson about this before. Now, Michael is an Irish rider who actually attempted the hour record, but he's very, very knowledgeable in terms of the technologies, the forces, the aerodynamics and everything required. And he said, if you look at this track, and I looked at the number of turns, so Jens went through 820 corners in his hour record attempt, whereas if Matthias beats the hour record of Jens Vogt, and he needs to do 256 laps of this 200-metre track, he will have completed 1,024 turns, so over 200 more corners he will have done in the hour record. And in terms of the forces on the body, in terms of the forces in the hour record, then generally it's about 1 G on the body in a corner. So it just makes you more and more tired, and if you have to go through 200 more corners, in an hour record, then you certainly are going to start to really suffer. Now, in just a few moments, we're just going to hear from the director of the World Cycling Centre, who is here in the track centre. And as I mentioned at the beginning, many riders come here to the World Cycling Centre, and Fred Magna is the director of the World Cycling Centre, and he's going to just give us an insight to the track and the hour record now.
Frederic, you must be a very proud director of the World Cycling Centre to have this event here tonight.
I think this is fantastic, and especially it's going so well, and yeah, this is a great night.
How this event ended up here? I mean, what were the discussions with the IAM?
So it was actually a very good circumstances, because Scott is the main sponsor of the World Cycling Centre, and we have good relationship with IAM. So everything went together, and from the first discussion, they said, "No, you should come here," and it was a great atmosphere. So very good.
We have a full crowd, a very packed event. This is something very positive as well.
Exactly, and I think this is probably the first time that we saw that, and especially myself, it's the first time that I saw a world record. So it's fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Great to hear from Fred Magna. Now we're 4 laps from the next point on the track, and that's the point at which we will get the 40-kilometre point. So we're 3 laps from that now. Rejoining me in the commentary box now is Brian Cookson. Brian, so far there is no let-up at all in this young rider's performance. We're seeing some signs of him slowing down just a little bit. His average speed was about 52.074. With 2 laps to go now to the 40-kilometre point, we're seeing it drop a little to 52.033. So it's starting to hurt a bit now.
Yeah, he's into the difficult part of the ride. I think this last quarter of the race is of the ride, I should say, is very difficult. That's when you're riding through a sea of lactic acid, if I can put it that way. But he seems to be keeping good form. I'm impressed by his technique. He's keeping very close to the black line, so he's not losing any time that way. And for a guy who's not an experienced track rider, his skills and his style are very impressive indeed.
So his 40-kilometre time is 46 minutes 7.930. He's 1 minute and 8 seconds faster at the 40-kilometre point than Jens Vogt was. So 1 minute and 8 seconds. That's really impressive.
Well, I think from what I can see is his style is remaining pretty good. His effort is still being consistently put out. I think we're going to see a new record unless something pretty drastic happens. But you know, like I said, this is the real test of the hour now. I know that he did a 45-minute ride at record pace, but it's this last quarter where it's all going to come out of the bag.
So in terms of, we're sitting here in the World Cycling Centre, and we've heard from Fred Magna, but I don't think until tonight many people may have known that this centre was here. It's a fantastic facility.
It is a wonderful facility. We're very fortunate to have it, and it's a great achievement. This was actually an achievement, I have to say, by one of my predecessors, Hein Verbruggen, and it's a wonderful facility. He sold the idea to the local politicians, and the original idea was to build it in Lausanne, but there was a problem with the site there, so they built it here in Aigle. That's, to my way of thinking, it's a much better location. It works really well for the trainees. This velodrome, we have the BMX track outside as well. It's an ideal location for the road riders to get out into the hills. It's a great track. It's great for the mountain bikers as well. So we've got young riders with great talent from all around the world coming here to get expert coaching, and many of them have subsequently gone on to top-level careers in the various branches of our sport, and that's a great thing to see.
And you do see when you're here. I mean, you spend a lot of your time travelling, but you're here, a fair amount of your time. But you see the future stars of some of the emerging countries come here. I know that Chris Froome spent some time here, didn't he? But you know, there's many riders who come here who just have that little added addition to their future career.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think when people have come from a background that's less than ideal, as it were, from the non-traditional cycling nations and so on, they sometimes need a little extra opportunity to achieve their full potential. So we've got riders here from South America, from Asia, from some of the smaller parts of countries in Europe, from Africa, and you know, right across the disciplines. We have BMX riders, we have road riders, we have track riders, and we've got some great mountain bikers as well. So to be able to provide that opportunity and to also be able to extend our friendship out into those countries by establishing satellite centres, that's part of our future development strategy for the UCI. We want cycling to be a strong sport in as many parts of the world as we can, and we're prepared to invest in that and work with our sponsors, work with our friends, work with our colleagues from the national federations and the continental confederations to make sure cycling becomes a truly global sport.
Well, alongside you is a man with a very, very big cowbell right now. They're getting into it.
Yeah, absolutely. The atmosphere is fantastic here. I can see Mexican waves, I can see cowbells, I can hear horns and tooting. And I think this velodrome has never seen the like of this kind of atmosphere. It's wonderful.
Great. Brian, thank you very much for joining me again. Go and enjoy the last 10 minutes. Matthias is slowing down a little bit now. He's underneath the 52-kilometer point, so it really is starting to bite, and the fans who are in this arena now are having to help him dig very, very deep. This is the point of the hour record where it really, really starts to hit, and it really starts to bite the legs, and if you have gone out too hard, then you can really suffer. You can go into a very, very dark place over the last 10 minutes of this hour record. Your body is absolutely screaming in pain. His heart rate earlier on, if we just remember, at the 20-kilometer point, we were seeing a rider with an average heart rate of 180 beats per minute. So his heart rate now, we're being told, is an average of 184 beats per minute. So it's gone up another 4 beats a minute. And his cadence now is slowing down a little bit. So he is starting to suffer. It was 99 revs per minute. It's now 97 revs per minute for Matthias Brändli. This is the point at which we find out what sort of athlete this man is. He has beaten all the times, all the way along, of the champions, of Eddie Merckx, of Chris Boardman, of Jens Vogt. He's beaten Susenko's times. His last time split at 46 kilometers was 46 minutes, 7.930. It was well over 1 minute and 9 seconds faster than the time of Jens Vogt, but right now his heart rate is 184, his cadence is 97, it's dropping down, and his average speed is dropping down a little bit more. His 45-kilometer time split is 52 minutes, 1.276 for the 45-kilometer point. Here we go now into the last 7-8 minutes of this ride. Thank you to all of you who've joined me on Twitter. If you'd like to add anything, hashtag our record, message me at @McCrossan if you would like to, and pass on your thoughts on this hour record as we come up to 7 minutes of this effort to go. What time is he going to go past? 51.110. He needs to do 256 laps to beat the record. He's at 229. He's getting a little bit more ragged. He has another 26 laps to go to beat the standard of Jens Vogt. And really now he is having to put all the effort into keeping this bike going forward. He's having to really focus on that black line. He's having to concentrate on lifting the knees and keeping the cadence as high as he possibly can. For a man who has never ridden the track, he's ridden the track for 3 one-hour segments before he went for the preparation to do the hour record. This is a really impressive performance, but if you keep an eye on that black line, he's just wandering a little bit more. 233 laps have been completed. He needs another 23 laps to beat this standard of Jens Vogt and to put his name up there, and the dream will be fulfilled. But he has to beat the 1 hour, he has to complete the 1 hour, and he has to complete the laps. Here we go now with the next point. You can see right on that black line as he goes past the camera. 51.872 now, dropping down a little bit more. At the 49-minute point, he was 51.952 was his standard. He's now at 51.872. He loses another 100 meters. So, is he going to do it, is the big question now. He's 55 seconds ahead, but he's really all over the place as he comes out of turn 2, and he's all up on the red line. 238 laps coming up now. It is 256 he needs in the 1 hour to be the 1 hour record holder. He's into the final 5 minutes of this effort. It is a supreme effort. He is lifting it as much as he can. His mouth is wide open. You can see his teeth glistening in the flashlights of the photographers as he goes past me. Here in front of me in the commentary box, he's only 6 meters away. You can just sense the effort now. The fans are hoping that he can do it. 240 laps. He has 16 more laps to be the world hour record holder. It is the law of the jungle, the ultimate law of the jungle. Is he going to beat it? Is he going to get the glory? Is he going to stand in the centre of that track and be now the name on the top of the board that everyone will want to beat? The sense to me is that he went out just a little bit too quickly. He has got 4 minutes now of this effort, and his average speed, what is it now? It's dropping down just a little bit more. He's at 48.4 kilometers with 53 seconds of an advantage on that of Jens Vogt, but it really is starting to bite now. It really is starting to hurt. Everybody in this velodrome are totally on their feet. They are urging him on. Another 12 laps will give him it. Another 12 laps of this Aigle 200-meter velodrome will give him the world hour record. Is he going to do it now as he hugs that line again, goes up onto the red almost as he comes out of that turn 2, which has been his real trouble on this track. As he comes into the track this time, he is looking pretty strong. Looks like he's got himself back together a little bit more. The fans now leaning over. They're banging the boards all the way around this track. It's just a wall of sound. 10 more laps will give him the hour record. 57 minutes 9. And he's coming up now to the 50-kilometer point in 3 more laps. He has to beat the times of all the champions that have gone before him. Everyone is going pretty mental in this track. 52 seconds is his advantage. Now he's really pulling himself forward. He has got another 2.5 minutes of effort. He needs another few laps of this track. It looks to me like he will be the hour record holder. He looks like he's got himself back together now. Those shoulders are rocking. Oh, he kicks the bike just a little bit as he came into 250 laps completed. Now, he's done the 50 kilometers. He has beaten the standard of Eddie Merckx. He's beaten Chris Boardman. He has beaten Sosenko. Now, he has to beat the time and the distance. 57.51.531 for the 50 kilometers. He comes up to 252 laps. He needs another 4 laps, and that will be the world hour record. He will be the man who'll stand in the center of the track later, and he will, if he can indeed stand. Chris Boardman couldn't stand after his effort. 253 laps. He has 1 minute and 20 seconds left to go. The atmosphere in here is absolutely incredible. He comes up now with 254 laps. He has 2 more laps of this track to go, and Matthias Brändli of Austria, the 24-year-old, will be the world hour record holder. He will beat the standard of Jens Vogt, but he's a little bit over the track then. 1 more lap and he will do it, and everyone will get on their feet, and then it will all be about the distance that he puts into. And I tell you, he's not going to beat it by much. He has now done 256 laps. He is the world hour record holder. Now he's going to just have to dig deep. How much distance can he put into Jens Vogt? It was 51.110. He comes round now at 51.4 with 30 seconds left now of this track. At one point he was well over 52 kilometres. He's not going to beat that, I don't think. Well, he might get very, very close. Another 20 seconds. He'll do another couple of laps now, and then there's a little bit of a calculation. He's at 51.6. There's no doubt he's beaten it. Now we're going to come round. He has maybe 1 more lap in the tank. 51.8. And he'll go round. He'll complete 1 more lap of the track. The 1 hour is over. He'll come round now, the gun will fire, and he will be somewhere around about the 52 kilometre point. 51.850 is what we're being shown. 51.850. Well, the team all congratulate themselves in the centre. Matthias Brändli of Austria, the 24-year-old, for the first time goes past me on the track and gets out of the saddle. He doesn't go over the 52 kilometre point that he dreamt of, but as he goes round now to the applause of an enthusiastic and crowd that are on their feet, he knows that his now is the record that everyone else will have to beat. 51.850. There might be a little bit of adjustment, but he has beaten the record of Jens Vogt by somewhere around about 740 metres before we get the little bits of change. Jens Vogt's record was clocked down from 51.115 to 51.110. Well, there we go. Some people had not really heard much about this Austrian rider. We'd seen him compete and been in the breakaway in Lombardia towards the end of the season, the race won by Dan Martin. We'd seen him win stages of the Tour of Britain. We knew he was the Austrian time trial champion. What we didn't know was whether he had the ability to beat the likes of Boardman and Merckx and Jens Vogt. Well, he has now given us the answer. He's going to come down here to the centre of the track. He's absolutely spent. He takes his feet out of the pedals. He's congratulated by the man who has stood there and given him a little bit of information. He can hardly walk, but he is the world hour record holder. You can see the sweat pouring out of that aero helmet. And I remember talking to Jens just a few weeks ago, and he could hardly walk at the end of it. He had a big smile on his face, but he could hardly walk. He couldn't sit down either, so he decided it was probably best just to wander around. Well, we're going in here to the track centre. Look how pale he looks. It's an incredible effort of an athlete. He had to really dig in the last few laps, but it just showed how good he was. An awful lot of emotion here in the centre of the track. Well, he was the face of relaxation when I spoke to him at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And now you see the bags under his eyes, the darkness. It's almost aged him, hasn't it, in 4 hours. Now he's going to try and sit down. He's going to be given the chance to just recover a little bit. Well, the dream becomes reality. 51.850 looks like the distance. We go through his ride. 184 beats a minute he was at in the last 20 minutes of that ride. And I'm sure in that last 10 minutes we'll see data of that heart rate being really, really high. His cadence was dropping, his time difference between him and Jens Vogt was dropping all the time. At one point in the ride, he was 1 minute and 9 seconds ahead of the schedule of Jens Vogt for the record. But by the end, it was getting, wasn't touch and go, but he was having to really concentrate to just put as much distance into Jens Vogt's distance in the hour as he could. But it just shows you what an incredible performance Jens Vogt put in. 51.110 for a rider who's almost 20 years older than this young Austrian. Well, let's hear from him now. Here he is in the track centre, the new world hour record holder, Thijs Brendler.
Michel, you must be very proud of your rider.
I am very, very proud. I know I'm no doubt he is going to succeed. He made a terrific race, and we're all very proud. All IM Cycling, all IM Fund, all my companies are very proud of him.
Are you realizing that your guys, I mean you, all the team has set the new record?
Well, it's difficult to realize. Even for him, I think it's difficult. It's going to come tomorrow, the day after. But for me, I was prepared, and I know what it means. It's going to be fabulous for him, fabulous for the team. So it's great.
Thank you very much. Matthias, how do you feel? I mean, are you just realizing what's going on here?
Now I feel really great, but during the race it was so hard, and it was so good that so many people are supporting me here, because I had a difficult period in the middle of the race where I suffered really. I had to do also a few laps a little bit easier, but then in the end I could find my rhythms again and bring it to the end.
How did you succeed to recover at the end, considering that you had some problems in the middle?
Yeah, it's like as closer the hour comes, that easier it goes, because you know there are 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then you know it's going to an end, and you can suffer pain so much, and then yeah, it's happening.
At which time, at which point of the event did you realize, or were you sure that you could make it finally?
Yeah, I was sure with 30 minutes that I could do it, but then I had my difficult period, and I hope that I recover so that I can keep the speed until the end. And yeah, in the end it was enough. I think it was 151.8 and 50 meters. Yeah, so I'm really happy about it, and yeah, that's it.
It looks a very difficult event for a road rider.
Yeah, in the first minutes of the race, you think it's easy, you can do it 1 hour. But then the lactate acid comes to your body, and every pedal stroke goes harder and harder. And then in the end, yeah, it's really hard, and I was really on my limit, but I could do it, and I'm just really, really happy.
The very last question, please answer in German for the Austrian fans.
Ja, ich bin einfach nur glücklich, das heute geschafft zu haben. Ich würde sagen, die Nummer 5 steht für mich. Und was hinter der 5 kommt, war das Team, das mir geholfen hat. Zu einer Seite Scott, dann UCI und das ganze hier im Cycling-Team, wo ich musste wirklich nur trainieren und fahren, und die haben das ganze Event so super organisiert. Ich musste mir um nichts Gedanken machen, und dafür möchte ich ein großes Danke sagen.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you.
So we get the chance then to hear from the new world hour record holder, Thijs Brendler of Austria. Alongside him there, if you were just wondering, was Michel Detas, who is the owner of YAM. very proud indeed of his rider's performance. The coaches are collecting data all the time. They're taking little bits of blood out of the ear there, just to just analyse his lactic acid and how did he do. As he said, he had a really tough period. He said it was after the half hour. He didn't look too bad at that point. Well, he's now coming up onto the track. He's not too far from me here, over to my left-hand side. The fans are all leaning over. He's standing on the podium. All the photographers are here. He looks really pale, doesn't he? He had to dig extremely deep in that last section of that ride to win, to ride through and to take that title. 51.850 is the distance that we have on the hour record card there. Flanked by Michel Fataz and by the UCI president Brian Cookson and other members of the team there. And being presented with the flowers, are saying the new record is 51.852 is what we have up on the screen now. And over to my left-hand side with all the timing guys is the commissaire, the judge, who will ultimately work out the record. There is a very long and complicated formula that has to work out exactly the distance that he covered in the ride today. But there's no doubt he was over 51.850. Keep your eyes pinned on the UCI website, uci.ch. That will give you the ultimate record when it is declared. And 51.110 was Jens's record when it was ultimately declared. I've got one message on here which I think is right. Damien Murphy's messaged me and said this should happen the last Thursday night of every month. If there's enough riders, well, let's just hear he's going to have the national anthem of Austria, and we'll give that the respect it deserves. Austrian national anthem. So he'll now go and try to recover from the ultimate test. Who will be next to try and break the world hour record? We've heard the names of the likes of Alex Dowsett, Alex Rasmussen, other riders who want to try and break this record. I think the big thing that they may learn from this is don't go out and ride the first half hour too hard. I think Matthias rode that first 30 minutes so hard that he really paid for it after 30 minutes, and then he had to dig really deep. So if you look at that, perhaps the best thing, ride more steady at the beginning, ramp it up if you can, but then there's always a danger that you can't accelerate. Well, I wonder who will be next. Will Damien Murphy's dream of having a Thursday night hour record every month happen in December sometime? Here we go then, let's hear from Brian Cookson, who's been alongside me a couple of times today.
Another great evening, 5 weeks after Grenchen and Jens Voigt.
Yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful. We've had a fantastic atmosphere here, a full house. I don't think we've ever seen that here at the World Cycling Centre before, but the crowd have been terrific. They've really got behind Matthias, really helped him, and he's responded with a wonderful performance, putting a good few hundred metres onto Jens Voigt's record and helping to set a new standard going forward.
Matthias told us that midway he struggled really. This is a very challenging event, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds easy enough riding for 1 hour as hard as possible around a track, but by the time you get beyond beyond half an hour, 30, 35, 40 minutes, you start riding through a sea of lactic acid and the pain levels are getting higher and higher. So it's not an easy thing by any means. Pacing is important, but absolutely we've seen a wonderful ride here tonight.
51.850. What's the meaning of this mark for cycling?
Well, it's another notch a bit further up, and I don't think it's out of reach for some other riders, so I'm sure that it will encourage others to have a go. But we've seen a really worthy record tonight, a world-class performance. It's not as easy as some people might think, and I think we're going to see some interesting challenges in the next few months.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you to Brian Cookson, who's been here with us throughout tonight. So it's been a fantastic night of racing here. Here's the highlights. Bye for now.
Three, two, one.